Hi, this is Ingvenning doing another post for Conscious Mosaic. I saw the other day a video where Bernadette Peters, an amazing singer and actress, was singing something at her home a cappella for Stephen Sondheim's birthday. And she was singing No One Is Alone from Into the Woods. And I thought that was a fantastic thing to sing at this point in time because so many of us are separated on lockdown in our own homes, but we are not alone. We are connected. We are part of the same world. And it's really something that's important to remember. And I got to thinking about how this song has been perceived because I remember back when Into the Woods came out, people kind of saw this as just a feel good song, just like oh, you're not alone, despite everything that's happening, and kind of a song to sing in hard times. And I think you can see it on that level. You could see this song as being about just not feeling alone when you are in hard times, when you're in crisis. But I think that there's a whole lot more going on. I think if we only see it that way, we're going to miss a lot that's in that song because there's another layer to this song that's going on. So we have to consider Into the Woods is a musical about ethics in so many ways. We use the tool, Sondheim uses the tool of storytelling in all these Grimm's fairy tales to look at morality. So in the first act, we have people that are kind of acting on their own to fulfill their own needs and not really considering the needs of others. And so the happily ever afters that all come about, they kind of come about because everybody that's considered a good character has met their goals, but it's morally ambiguous, and that's why we have this second act where we have the consequences for everything that's happening, everything that they've done in the first act that's ended in a happy ending, but the happy ending is in the middle of the show. It's at the end of Act One. It's not at the end of Act Two. At the end of Act Two is a lot more ambiguous, a lot more up in the air. So when we're considering that this musical is about ethics and that the song No One Is Alone is not just about not feeling alone when bad things are happening, but also about ethics and morality and how we're all connected when we make ethical decisions, I think it starts to make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to go through, not read all the lyrics, but just look at a few particular lyrics. So we have pretty early on the song, and this is sung by a whole bunch of different characters back and forth, which I think is appropriate because it's a song about not being alone emotionally and ethically. So I think it's good that multiple people are singing it, although when Bernadette Peters was singing it by herself, and knowing the context of the original play, I thought that was very appropriate as well in this point in our history. So early on, we have these lyrics, you decide alone, but no one is alone. And that shows us that the nature of morality, it is something that's very personal. The decisions that we have to make on our own. But no one is alone, meaning we make those decisions on our own, and then the consequence affect everybody around us, and we're being affected by the consequences of the moral decisions everyone makes. The lyrics continue here, you decide what's good, no one acts alone, no one is alone. So this really emphasizes the nature of this song being about ethics. We have a section about mistakes, right? People make mistakes holding to their own, thinking they're alone. Honor their mistakes. Everybody makes. Fight for their mistakes. One another's terrible mistakes. Witches can be right. Giants can be good. You decide what's right. You decide what's good. So we are born into a world where other people have made decisions. Like at the end of Act One, everybody's made decisions, and some of those decisions are mistakes and terrible mistakes that lead to terrible consequences. And yet we're being told, honor their mistakes, honor the mistakes everybody makes. Well, that's how we learn. We look at the mistakes we've made and that everybody else has made. And instead of just making them over and over again, we decide what's right. We decide what's good. And so we are honoring their mistakes because even if those were bad decisions, they're decisions that we can learn from. This idea that witches can be right, giants can be good, and given the context of the different stories that are going on in this musical, this is kind of a nod to moral relativism. But we have to be careful because there are some interpretations of moral relativism that say, well, it doesn't matter what you do. And I think this song, this musical, is very much about it does matter what you do, but you're the one who ultimately decides. So if you're in a story where traditionally the witch is wrong and bad and evil, but you decide she's not, it's not a situation where anything goes and the witch can be just anything. It's you as an observer, you as a participant have to decide, is this right or is this wrong? We're seeing this right now in terms of persons of color and how we feel about them because they've been the villains in many stories, and we're seeing they don't have to be the villains, but we all need to decide that. Okay. Um, so this notion about witches and giants and you decide what's right, it's moral relativism, but it's moral relativism with consequences. It's moral relativism where we have to really think about what's right and wrong before we decide, even though it may not be obvious what's right and wrong, even though we may be in a story where the witch could be good or bad or something else entirely, where the witch could be like us, somebody that makes mistake, honor those mistakes by making better decisions and then moves on. There is this section near the end. Someone is on your side, our side, right? Some of the characters repeat, our side. Someone else is not. While you're seeing your side, our side, maybe we forgot they are not alone because no one is alone, right? So this again is moral relativism in a world with very real, serious consequences, where we have to think about what we've been through and what we decide, and what others have been through and what others decide. And then, so appropriately, the end of the song, "Someone is on your side," is then interrupted, and the plot moves forward. But it's important that this song is interrupted because we're always in the middle of a world where we're making ethical decisions. Even if we're about to die and we're at the end of that world, we're in the middle of that world because there are other people and other sides. So it's so appropriate that this song is interrupted. And so this takes me back again to seeing, Bernadette Peters singing this all alone in her home during the coronavirus, because we live in a world where all these things are going on around us, and we may be stuck in our homes and we may not see the immediate consequences, but we have to think about those consequences. We have to think about what's going on in our world, whether it's coronavirus, economic disaster, protests about racial injustice, or anything else. We've got to look at where we are, look at our mistakes, consider our side and everyone else's side. Because no one is alone doesn't just mean that no one should feel alone emotionally. It means we're not alone ethically. If you have things you'd like to say about this, other things about Into the Woods, things about my commentary, whatever it is, please feel free to comment. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to see this little channel get going and be a place where people can talk about all kinds of arts and what they mean to our lives. Have a wonderful day.